Wars do not begin with explosions. They do not begin with missiles crossing the sky or tanks rolling across borders. They begin in silence, behind polished wooden doors, inside quiet conference rooms, across tables where no cameras are allowed. We are taught that war is sudden, that it erupts, that it is the result of anger, chaos, or a single dramatic event, a shot fired, a border crossed, a leader assassinated. But what if that is only the final act? What if war is not an explosion, but a construction? What if, long before the first soldier moves, agreements are drafted, currencies are repositioned, supply chains are adjusted, headlines are prepared? What if the battlefield is only the surface and the real war begins years earlier? History tells us wars are reactions. Reality suggests they are processes. And once you see the pattern, once you understand how modern wars truly begin, you will never watch the news the same way again. Because the next war will not start with violence. It will start with a meeting. Before modern media, before 2-4-hour news cycles, before social networks and digital propaganda power still understood one thing: war must be prepared. In ancient empires, conflict was rarely impulsive. The Roman Senate debated expansion long before legions marched. Trade routes were calculated, alliances negotiated, grain supplies secured. War was logistics before it was bloodshed. In medieval courts, kings did not wake up one morning and choose battle. Marriages were arranged to control territory. Debts were engineered. Religious decrees framed conflicts as moral necessities. Armies moved only after narratives were blessed by authority. Even in the industrial age, as technology made warfare faster and deadlier, the preparation remained slow and deliberate. Banks financed both sides. Industrialists secured weapons contracts. Newspapers shaped public outrage. Political speeches transformed economic competition into patriotic duty. The world before every war always looks strangely similar. Economic tension, strategic alliances shifting, resources quietly repositioned, public anxiety rising. Then a trigger event, an assassination, an attack, a border violation. But by then, the machinery is already built. The original power system was never chaotic. It was structured, hierarchical, calculated. Empires did not simply seek land. They sought influence, trade, dominance, energy control, financial leverage. And as global systems evolved, war evolved with them. No longer just territorial conquest. Now it became currency influence, market dominance, ideological expansion. And slowly, something changed. Wars stopped looking like invasions. They began looking like consequences. Modern wars are rarely spontaneous. They are manufactured environments. Long before open conflict, there is economic pressure. Sanctions, trade restrictions, currency manipulation, debt leverage, strategic embargoes. A nation begins to feel strain. Its currency weakens. Its inflation rises. Its access to technology narrows. Officially, these are policy decisions. Unofficially, they are positioning. Behind closed doors, meetings take place between financial institutions, defense contractors, intelligence officials, and political leaders. Publicly, tensions are described as diplomatic disputes. Privately, scenarios are mapped. Documents are drafted outlining possible escalations. Military exercises increase, framed as defensive preparedness. Media narratives begin to shift. Subtle at first. Language changes. A leader becomes aggressive. A nation becomes unstable. A government becomes a threat to regional security. Public opinion slowly adjusts. Fear grows gradually, not dramatically. And then comes the incident. A cyber attack. A disputed territory clash. A provocation that dominates headlines. To the public, it appears sudden. To insiders, it was anticipated. The conflict doesn't begin there. That is merely when it becomes visible. Before modern wars, there are tests. Economic tests, information tests, alliance tests. A country might experience sudden sanctions targeting key industries, official explanation, political disagreement. Underneath, strategic weakening. Energy supplies are restricted, markets react, currency drops. Then comes narrative preparation. Major media outlets begin publishing synchronized analyses. Experts appear, repeating similar phrases. Think tanks release reports warning of growing instability. The public absorbs repetition. Repetition becomes belief. Defense budgets increase justified as precautionary. Military exercises expand near contested areas. Intelligence leaks surface, often anonymously, describing classified threat. Arms manufacturers see rising contracts. Energy markets fluctuate. Investment funds reposition assets. Is this coincidence or choreography? Historically, before major 21st century conflicts, similar sequences unfolded. First, economic pressure. Second, diplomatic breakdown. Third narrative, escalation. Fourth, public justification. Finally, military engagement framed as unavoidable. Each stage conditions the next. Governments rarely declare war in isolation. They build moral framing first. They speak of defense, of stability, of protecting democracy, of humanitarian intervention. Language transforms action into necessity. Behind the scenes, documents circulate outlining acceptable collateral impact. Risk assessments calculate political tolerance. Public approval metrics are monitored carefully. If approval is too low, escalation pauses. If fear is high enough, movement accelerates. Modern war planning integrates psychology as much as strategy. The battlefield now includes markets, media, and minds. Even cyber operations precede physical conflict. Digital infrastructure disruptions test responses. Misinformation campaigns polarize populations. Social divisions weaken internal resistance. By the time physical conflict begins, the narrative battlefield has already been secured. And when bombs fall, many citizens believe it was inevitable. But inevitability was constructed, not discovered. War in the modern age is rarely an isolated national decision. It is entangled with networks of influence. International financial institutions, defense industries, energy conglomerates, strategic alliances, private intelligence contractors, policy think tanks. Over centuries, power consolidated not only in governments, but in interconnected systems. Central banking networks influence liquidity during crises. Investment funds adjust global exposure before geopolitical shifts. Elite policy forums host discussions long before public awareness catches up. None of this requires a secret world government. It requires alignment of incentives. When economic interests, political ambitions, and strategic opportunities converge, conflict becomes profitable for some, destabilizing for others. Continuity is the key. The same defense corporations supplying one war often prepare for the next. The same financial institutions restructuring debt in crisis zones finance reconstruction afterward. War becomes a cycle. Preparation, escalation, engagement, reconstruction, repositioning. And because modern economies are interdependent, pressure in one region affects markets worldwide, which means war is no longer just military. It is systemic. The illusion is randomness. The structure is continuity. When you map wars not by dates but by economic shifts, arms production spikes, debt realignments, and alliance restructuring patterns emerge. Not conspiracy. Incentive. Not chaos. Process. Does that power still exist? Look around. Investment funds managing trillions influence which industries grow and which collapse. Technology platforms shape narratives in real time. Think tanks publish strategic roadmaps adopted by policymakers. Sanctions are deployed as economic weapons. Currency access can be restricted with a signature. Wars today may not always look like invasions. They look like supply chain disruptions, energy crises, cyber attacks with unclear origins, trade wars, proxy conflicts, digital censorship battles, information overload. Modern wars often begin invisibly. An algorithm changes visibility. A shipment is delayed. A financial channel closes. A headline trends globally within minutes. Public perception forms before facts stabilize. And when physical conflict erupts, it feels like the climax, not the beginning. But by then, the process has matured. The alliances are chosen. The markets have reacted. The narratives are fixed. The public justification has been rehearsed. War in the 21st century is rarely a surprise to those studying the signals. It is a sequence, and sequences leave traces. So the next time you hear that war has suddenly begun, ask yourself, what happened in the years before? Which industries expanded quietly? Which narratives shifted slowly? Which alliances strengthened behind the scenes? Because war is not an event. It is a progression, a construction of economic pressure, psychological preparation, strategic positioning, and public justification. The explosions are visible. The process is not. And perhaps the most unsettling truth is this: the world does not drift into war blindly. It moves step by calculated step. The question is not whether modern wars are planned in detail. The question is how many stages unfold before we recognize them. And if we cannot see the beginning, how will we ever understand the end?